is indeed a privilege for me to join the fraternity in India and to exchange my ideas and thoughts on an interesting topic like less is more through a unique format, Pechakulture. I'm truly humbled today to be here, and I take this opportunity to thank Kohler for making my presence happen. So let me start with the presentation. A young architect once came to Khan, tensed. His dream became less when put to paper. According to Khan, dreams can never be quantified. Hence, whatever we do is less, and what one dreams is more. Through Khan, we can reflect upon our theme for the evening, less is more. We all know his thoughts on measurable, immeasurable, design and form. Interestingly, we can relate to less with Khan's measurable and design and more with immeasurable and form. Let us dig into some popular perceptions of less is more in the next 4 slides. Nature is best at its simplest. The simple and serene encompasses everything all around. Including humans, everything in nature is perceived as less is more. Art is a language without border. Through the parallel movement of minimalism and different streams of art, a purist approach gave art a new meaning. The very basic expressed more when it had to deal with less. The perception of music can be a soul-wrenching sojourn at its simplest. Let us spare it some thought. The same is evident in architecture. Whichever ism we put against these works, we all perceive these as less is more. The primal nature of this architecture always appeals to us more. There is also an alternate perception on the same subjects. Next 3 slides are to support those. Again, with nature. When we perceive this nature as less is more, we take its physical existence as less and experience of the same as more. Now, I ask you, do we intrinsically see more in an apparent simplest nature? Same goes for architecture. We see a huge built-in complexity behind this simple expression. Can we reflect upon our own experience to understand this alternate perception? Did we ever design less even when we conceptualize the most sublime? The harmony of notes that generates a music follows a complex editing process, which is always hidden from our perception. Now, to appreciate the idea of real or alternate perception, Winston Churchill explains that the architecture we make ultimately molds us as we continue to live and work in those. The impact is larger than the creation itself, as it transcends the limits of time and space. The mystery of the famous painting Mona Lisa personifies a popular Bengali saying, Bindur Majhe Sindhu. This literally explains that creation is always more, however simple and minimal physical manifestation may be. We cannot philosophize without the help of Rabindranath Tagore. According to Tagore, our work of art is more when it overpowers our soul. And lifts our spirit above its physical embodiment. Now I'd like to share a personal story. I was telling my 12-year-old son Adit of Pechakulture and less is more. He asked me a question that would shape my thoughts further. He asked me, Baba, if less is more like an equation, do we suppose more is less too? Because of Adit, I had to understand if more is less. If Renaissance came with the rebirth of classicism, More became inevitable in all art and architecture. More was needed to express more, no matter which perspective we take. Another French great painter, Georges Seurat, could not have used, as we see in Sunday afternoon, he couldn't have used less points to express the depth and optical perception and less color to initiate his neo-impressionism. Here in the painting, the magnificent pointillist used more points, more to express more. If more was not more for Antoni Gaudi, his architecture would lose its appeal. How could his style, devoid of the superfluous, could give expression to neo-Gothicism? Could he do more with less iconographies as he did in Sagrada Familia? The late Zaha Hadid gave architecture a different momentum. However we may look at Zaha's assertive statements, the powerful moving lines, forms, shapes, and parametric design, ultimately it tells us her search for more to express more. Now I look at my own humble practice. It is driven by the most basic need and an humble intervention. Function has never been second to anything. In my design process, it is the experience of the user that takes precedence of all. Simplicity of our architecture is surprisingly appreciated by many as less is more. This, in fact, led to a realization that the conferment of more, in fact, stems from those who experience a creation. Consequently, less comes from the perception. To some, less is more is a witty remark, some an aphorism. To me, it is indeed a paradoxical statement that so many of us seek to explore today. And to express my realization after all these slides in one sentence, I would say, if less is the verdict of impression, then more is the verdict of experience. Thank you.